Chapter 15. Understanding and Managing Individual Behavior. Here's another example of futuristic thinking. The learning objectives of the day are to identify the focus and goals of individual behaviors within the organizations, explain the role that attitudes play in job performance, describe different personality theories, know how to be more self-aware, describe perception and factors that influence it, discuss learning theories and their relevance in shaping behavior, develop your skill at shaping behavior, discuss contemporary issues in organizational behaviors. One of the challenges in understanding organizational behavior is that it addresses issues that aren't obvious, like an iceberg. Organizational behavior has a small visible dimension and a much larger hidden portion. Have you ever experienced a poor work environment? If so, what are some of the visible aspects that occur because of the poor work environment? What are some of the hidden aspects that causes poor work environment? Organizational behavior focuses on three major areas. First, OB looks at individual behavior based predominantly on contributions from the psychologists. This area includes such topics as attitude, personality, perception, learning, and motivation. Second, OB is concerned with group behavior, which includes norm, roles, team building, leadership, and conflict. Our knowledge about groups come basically from the work of sociologists and social psychologists. Finally, OB also looks at organizational aspects, including structure, culture, and human resource policies and practices. We'll address groups and organizational aspects in previous chapters. In this chapter, we're looking at individual behavior. Attitudes are evaluative statements, favorable or unfavorable, concerning objectives, people, or events. They reflect how an individual feels about something. When the person says, "I like my job," he or she is expressing an attitude about work. An attitude is made up of three components: cognitive, affect, and behavior. The cognitive component of an attitude refers to the beliefs, opinions, knowledge, or information held by a person. The affective component of an attitude is the emotional or feeling part of an attitude. Using our example, this component will be reflected by the statement, "I don't like Pat because he discriminates against minorities." Finally, affect can lead to behavioral outcomes. The behavioral component of an attitude refers to an intention to behave in a certain way towards someone or something. Describe their cognitive, affective, and behavioral behavior. Cognitive dissonance theory sought to explain the relationship between attitudes and behavior. Cognitive dissonance is any incompatibility or inconsistency between attitudes or between behavior and attitudes. The theory argued that inconsistency is uncomfortable and that individual will try to reduce this discomfort and thus the dissonance. Many organizations regularly survey their employees about their attitude. Typically, attitude surveys present the employee with a set of statements or questions eliciting how they feel about their jobs, work groups, supervisors, or the organization. Ideally, the items will be designed to obtain the specific information that manager desire. An attitude score is achieved by summing up responses to individual questionnaire items. These scores can then be averaged for work groups, departments, divisions, or the organization as a whole. An individual's personalities is a unique combination of emotions, thoughts, and behavioral patterns that affect how a person reacts to a situation and interacts with others. It's our natural way of doing things and relating to others. Personality is most often described in terms of measurable traits a person exhibits. We are interested in looking at personalities because just like attitudes, it too affects how and why people behave the way they do. One popular approach to classifying personality traits is the personality assessment instrument known as the MBTI. This 100-question assessment asks people how they usually act or feel in different situations. On the basis of their answers, individuals are classified and exhibit a preference in 4 categories. Here are the 4 categories. How would you score on this test? Emotional intelligence is composed of 5 dimensions. The first 3 are self-awareness, self-management, self-motivation. The last 2 dimensions are empathy and social skills. It's important to understand our emotions. How would you put your emotions on this scale? The best documented personality job fit theory was developed by psychologist John Holland, who identifies 6 basic personality types. His theory states that an employee's satisfaction with his or her job, as well as with his or her likelihood of leaving the job, depends on the degree to which the individual personality matches the job environment. Exhibit 15.4 describes the 6 types, their personality characteristics, and examples of suitable occupations for each. Which of these 6 personality types do you fit into? Perception is a process by which we give meaning to our environment by organizing and interpreting sensory impressions. Research on perception consistently demonstrates that individuals may look at the same thing yet perceive it differently. One manager, for instance, can interpret the fact that her assistant regularly takes several days off to make important decisions as evidence that the assistant is slow, disorganized, and afraid to make decisions. Another manager with the same assistant might interpret the same tendency as evidence that the assistant is thoughtful, thorough, and deliberate. The first manager would probably evaluate her assistant negatively. The second would probably evaluate the person positively. The point is that none of us sees reality. We interpret what we see and call it reality. And of course, as the example shows, we behave according to our perceptions. What do you see in these 2 pictures? It's easy to judge others if we assume they are similar to us. In assuming similarities, or the like-me effect, the observer's perception of others is influenced more by the observer's own characteristics than by those of the persons observed. When we judge someone on the basis of our perception of a group he or she is part of, we're using the shortcut called stereotyping. For instance, married people are more stable employees than a single person. It is an example of stereotyping. When we form a generic impression about a person on the basis of a single characteristics, such as intelligence, sociability, or appearance, we are influenced by the halo effect. For this in-class assignment, each student needs to take the Myers-Briggs personality test, print out the results, and write a 1-page analysis to determine if it matches your personality. We will discuss it during our next class. Please make sure you do this assignment because it will count as part of your participation grade. For those of you who are still doing the optional homework assignment, here are the 3 questions you need to answer.